I am an artist living in beautiful Vermont, USA, and I have a lot of questions. So I engage the minds of the people that I meet. Poets, writers, artists. I explore what's inside and share it with you. My name is Ricky McGeckran, and I am eager to know. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Eager to Know. I am very excited about this episode of the podcast because I have an incredible opportunity to be involved with a set of movie makers who are right in the middle of the movie making process. And the movie was filmed and is being made right here in Bellows Falls. So my guests today are Collin Kimball and Alex Stradling. Did I say your name right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Some people say Sterling, straddling, it just goes on and on and on. But yes, no, you did it. You did it justice.
All right. So Collin is the writer and co-director of the movie Death of Me.
Yep.
And Alex is the co-director and producer of Death of Me. And this is kind of a unique situation for the three of us because these guys are responsible for putting on my Fact TV show. So normally they're over there on the other side of the window, and now I'm happy that you are on this side. So I want to start with you, Collin. You wrote this story, the screenplay. I know that it is kind of a serious, dark topic. Is that accurate? And where did the idea or inspiration come for you to write this?
Yeah, so I started writing it, I believe Facebook said I started writing it 6 years ago because it popped up as a memory on there. And when I started writing it, I think one of the thoughts that went into it was I just want to make something really dark and edgy and emo because I love that type of stuff. Then of course you have to find a topic, so I'm like, let's pull from stuff in my life. And then we kind of expanded upon that, turned it into just a mental illness, how one talks to oneself, and this big production of the inner workings of someone's mind.
Now, had you had experience of putting things on paper or writing plays or with ideas that you've had in your head? Had that been a creative outlet for you in the past?
As a child, I always had creative writing class, and I did fairly decent in those. When I started working here, that's when I had to start writing things for, like, if we're doing a short promotion for an upcoming event, sometimes you might have to write a couple of lines to throw in there, or even if I'm working with someone like you, I might say, hey, for your intro, why don't we change it up a little bit and change the phrasing to make this work? Or just editing a program without writing actual words on paper, you sometimes have to write the storyline.
Okay.
Of what's happening inside the video.
Okay. So this was inspired by the feeling of wanting to put something dark out into the world, and then you had to look inside yourself to find something inside you that matched that intent. Is that accurate?
It was more of a two birds, one stone situation where I decided I wanted to write something, and then I also had the story inside me that wanted to be told.
Okay. So tell everyone about the story.
The story is just really dark. It's about mental illness, depression, self-hatred, self-harm, that type of thing. The fun part of the story is instead of being a story where a character walks around a room and talks to people, whatever, this takes place all inside the main character's head, where she only talks to herself. So it's looking more at the inner workings inside someone's mind while bad things happen to them on the outside instead of watching the bad things happening to them.
Interesting. So that sounds like a unique take on the topic of mental illness.
Yeah, it just seems like a good way to communicate what the feeling of depression is like to people who may not experience it, to go inside the mind to show what it's like in a metaphorical sense, at least.
Yeah. Do you feel like you were, at least, I know you have not, the movie isn't out yet, based on where you are and the footage that you have recorded or filmed, do you feel like you're on track to be expressing to the world what you feel that depression would be like in this movie?
I think we're hitting it. It's it's hard to say for sure, but people on set were being like, "Oh, I feel that," just
Okay.
from the recording in between 30-second takes. They were like, "Oh, that one hit hard," and then I start piecing it together in the editor, especially some of the final scenes, the climax of the movie. I'll be watching them, and then I get worked up and be like, "Oh, I wrote this, and this is still shocking and surprising and deep for me, who made it up."
Yeah.
So,
What is it like for you to have what was in your head being filmed and performed by actors, and having all of these, because when you're making a movie, it's like a team of people. Can you describe what that's like? I've never experienced anything like that. I mean, I do a painting and it's like on a canvas. You have a team of people intimately involved with your creative output.
well, there's two layers to that. The first is just something I wrote with all these people on it, yeah, and that is tough. You got a lot of people giving feedback on the day, being like, "Oh, she said that a little funny," or "Oh, that camera looks a little funny." And just as the writer and co-director, I don't have full control over the lights. It's not my project. It becomes a group effort to tell the story I wrote. So you'll have Alex be saying we should do it this way. You'll have the DP being like, "Can we do the lights like this? I think it'll look better." And you have to try and work all together to make the best product possible, even though it's not always what I had in my head when I wrote it down. But the second layer of that is, it's based on me. So there's a lot of emotional stuff inside the story that is from inside of my heart, and then that's on view for everyone to see, and that gets really awkward at times.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like all of your stuff is out there.
Oh yeah, it's something else.
Right. So Alex, you were the co-director and the producer. What was your experience in working on something of this subject matter? I know a lot of what you do is very technical. Is that correct? As producer.
Yeah, producer and director. Yeah, sometimes it's technical, but
Yeah.
it's creative. I've done over 25 short films since I've been making films in high school. So it's a very creative process. Not only as director, co-director, producer, a little bit of writing. So so in terms of the script of Death of Me, I take a look at the script. I gave Colin pointers in terms of where the story needs to go. The basic arc of the story connected me to the story is that the character journey is, how I feel like audience or anyone else can relate to it is we can all relate to treating ourselves like garbage, right? And so the journey of that is to kind of reflect like how, we treat ourselves so badly and we're so unforgiving about who we are inside that's a journey that we all need to take, and whether or not we, come out okay on the end of that is sort of the question of that. And I also could relate to the two characters and the way they banter with each other, because I also have a twin brother. So most people have a different take, but when you take a look at yourself in the mirror, okay, think about all the positive things you're telling yourself. And I mean that facetiously, but now when you have a twin brother, you see every flaw and everything that you hate about yourself in 3D. Okay.
So is this an identical twin brother?
We're identical, and it's nothing. I mean, again, I love my twin brother. So, but I mean, again, that relationship, we have a complicated relationship,
Yeah.
Obviously, because you're. You have someone that acts and talks the same way you do, and a lot of the things that you don't like about yourself, you display or treat that person in the way you would. So there's that aspect of the film, and I think that was a journey. I changed the end. I wanted the journey, and we won't tell people, but I wanted it to have a moment of grace and a moment of, it's not going to be so definitive in terms of what happens at the end of the film. So
Okay.
because that's the message I wanted people to sort of take. It's. I think this isn't a message, but the idea is, how you want to walk away from the film. How do I treat myself?
Yeah.
Is it healthy the way I treat myself? That's the only question. I don't want to. We're not making this film to tell people about suicide or anything like that. It's to walk away from this journey and to question your own self in terms of. Am I overly critical of myself? Do I have a good relationship with myself, and so on and so forth. So
yeah, it sounds like the way that this is being constructed, where it's about inner dialogue.
Yeah,
that sounds like such a great way to explore that topic.
Yeah.
Because I know you hear a lot about people comparing their insides to other people's outsides, and I think there's this. What we tell ourselves and the stories we tell ourselves are obviously very powerful, and they're not usually. You don't know what's going on inside of somebody's head. The other night I'd met somebody for the first time, and I had been talking to them for a good 10 minutes, and they made some comment about which seemed kind of odd because I just met them, that how calm I seemed. And I said to him, well, no, inside my head, I'm not calm at all.
Yeah.
It's there's all sorts of stuff going on. Apparently, I am showing as being calm, but I'm really not. And so I think that there's a lot that you don't know what's going on with people. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing this. What is the time, where are you in the process, and what is the timing of the movie?
Well, we're right in the middle of the process. So the stuff that our main location was the Bellows Falls Opera House. We used the stage to create sort of a black void, very minimal type of set, sort of to create being in someone's mind. So we shot half the scenes in there, and we still have about 3/4 of the other scenes to film.
We got 3 scenes out of 15 left to film.
So we got 3
We've
scenes.
got most of the filming done.
Yeah. So we've roughed it out, and other things we have to run the station and so on and so forth. So other things have come along, so we're done with the rough, and then we're going to be scheduling up to finish up the rest of those scenes based upon
mostly done with the rough.
Based upon the rough cut. So that's part of the filmmaking process is. Especially new filmmakers, they don't schedule in time or let people know to do reshoots, or they feel bad about doing reshoots. And I learned that. I mean, the first film I did, I felt really bad that I might have to do reshoots, and I refused to do reshoots because then you kind of take that, and then going through film school, and going through later. I mean, that's just a common practice is having those reshoots.
Yeah.
If you don't get a scene right, there's many things that can happen on the set. The actor could have had a bad day, something personal. They just didn't get the performance. You only have the location for a certain amount of time. There could have been an airplane flying ahead or a train going by that ruined the scene. There could be many things that can happen that ruin the scene in terms of technically or performance-wise. That you're just going to have to reshoot, and that's just the nature of the project. So now I always, every project that I do since my first film, I always schedule in time for reshoots, and I don't feel bad about it.
Okay. All right.
I don't feel bad about with the erase. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
For this, it was always, you do the rough cut. That's the best thing. Do the rough cut. See, okay, do you have the performance? Do you have the main storyline? What's missing? If there's missing. Is there certain scenes that just didn't, hit it? And, if you plan ahead, then you can sort of reshoot those and sort of, correct those things that may or may not be working. So it's a process throughout. So
okay. And approximately when are you targeting for this to be available for people?
We were in November, but it looks like sometime in March when we'll have it finished.
March 2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
March and April we'll probably do the premiere at the Opera House and then be able to release that. So yeah.
Well, sounds very exciting. This sounds like this is going to be very important to people when they see it.
I hope so.
Yeah, so that's great. Well, congratulations on everything that you've done so far. Congratulations for you to have your, creative ideas being expressed like this. That's incredible. That's a really wonderful thing to. I'm very envious. That's wonderful. And congratulations on you working on another film. You said this is your 25th.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be, after this, we're going to be doing 2 feature films after this. So, it'll be the same workshop environment. So we're just kind of sort of moving up and moving forward. All, local actors, local stories that sort of deal, locally, around here, so on and so forth. I did want to touch upon, when you said, what is it like, when you write something or you're creating something, you're working on something, and then it sort of finally comes to, or almost comes together, because you're planning pre-production and there's production where it's sort of coming into reality.
Yep.
And then there's the editing where you're kind of the final phases of writing and crafting the story. But yeah, the set is always exciting, the first scene, because, as a producer or a director, you're kind of planning all these different resources to come in and sort of create what's in your head. You kind of have, it's kind of a give or take. You have this idea in your head, then you have the logistical realities of what you have in front of you. So whether, the type of actors that you have, the resources that you have available. But it's always exciting for me the first time when things come together and you're seeing, okay, now there's actual some physicality, some reality to this thing that was an idea in your head. And then it's nerve-wracking as you're going through the process, as he was saying. I mean, there's all these different people, and then you're kind of trying to navigate what the vision is between what other people's visions are. It's definitely a collaborative process. I've learned a long time ago. I mean, every time when you do your first film, you sort of hold on to this sort of vision,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, you stick to it like it can't change.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not reality.
Right.
That's not the reality of filmmaking.
Of anything.
You have to be able to take that vision, let it go, as long as it sort of keeps the core of the emotional core of what you're feeling about it, and then just adapt to allow that thing to be able to congeal together in different ways. So, and then if you open up and adapt and let things flow a little bit, then surprises can happen. And actually, those are the most exciting moments on set, is when something you didn't expect, because you prepped and you did everything, comes along, but it just works. You know what I mean? So that opens you up to that. But
I think staying a little loose allows for...
Not too loose so you don't have anything, but a little loose enough where you're not constraining yourself to the realities. You have to troubleshoot too. You may only have these resources in this amount of time. Yeah. You may have to change just because of that reality. And that if you're open, you could come up with something better than what you originally had. So.
Well, great. Well, thanks for hanging out with me on this side of the wall today. This is great, and I'm really looking forward to it. So is it The Death of Me or Death of Me?
I wish I knew.
Okay.
It's whatever anyone says.
It's going to be Death of Me.
Death of Me.
Yeah. Okay.
Death of Me. Okay. Well, I look forward to, when you have the premiere and all of that. It'll be very exciting. So thanks again for hanging out with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, Ricky.
My name is Ricky McGuckran, and you have been listening to Eager to Know, the podcast. If you haven't already, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join me next week for another Eager to Know podcast.